Well, by now you know. If not, better get set because the student loan interest is starting. It started on September 1st. Of course, the administration did all they could to try to go ahead with the get-out-of-jail-free card. Thankfully, we have a Supreme Court that still has a backbone to it. And payments are going to be due starting in October. That's right. It's all happening this fall. What's that going to mean for the economy, for the job market, and also just people paying back those loans? There's a lot to look into here. Ken Coleman, our Ramsey personality, career expert as well, he joins us here on KCMO Talk Radio. And by the way, tonight, the Ramsey team is having a free live stream at 7 o'clock on how we got here and how America can get out of this student loan debt crisis. Ken, good morning. Good to have you on, my friend.
Good to be with you, Pete.
Let's start off, Ken, with just tonight, what people are going to learn from this event and, what they're going to figure out based on what has been a tumultuous 3.5 years on this subject.
Well, if you're somebody who has kids who are going to be heading to college in the near future, it's certainly going to help you understand how we got into the student loan crisis so that you can avoid it. And then if you're in debt with student loans, we're going to give you the tried and true process to pay off that debt because I think it's pretty apparent now, at least I would hope it is, that Washington, D.C. is not going to forgive your student loans. No matter what Uncle Joe's trying to do, there might be some relief that he somehow figures out a way to finagle. But the reality is that this is nothing more than a hollow political promise. And no one on either side of the aisle is addressing the real problem. And I can talk about that. You don't want me to get down that rabbit trail just yet until I answer this one. But we're going to help you get out of debt and so that you can move on with your life. And let's be frank, keep the commitment that you made. And so it's going to be an empowering and entertaining evening.
Yeah, and no, I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys put together tonight on that front. Now, you mentioned it's got nothing to do with the actual solution. I mean, it would seem to me, even if you're a fan of bailing out student loan debt, the kids that just walked into school a month ago and are racking up student loan debt as we speak, nothing's being done for them. So nothing that they're proposing with debt bailouts addresses the issue, which is the cost of these tuitions over the last couple of generations. So what is the answer there, Ken? I've long thought that schools should have skin in the game. The government should get out of the student loan business. What else needs to be thought about there?
Well, you've already led us down the path. First, what we've got to do is we've got to have some government oversight. There's got to be some actual regulation. And I'm not a fan of regulation, but I was digging into the numbers last week, Pete, and this is startling. From 2010 to 2022, the cost of tuition rose, college tuition rose at 12.6% per year. During that same time, inflation rose 2.6% a year. Now, if that doesn't enrage the American people, I don't know what it's going to take. But that is price gouging. It's absolutely absurd. And if you look at a lot of these universities, their endowments are bulging. And they're not using that money to help people who would need to get a student loan. If you look at the actual percentage of money, let's just take our Ivy League fat cats, the percentage of money that they actually dole out to students for undergrad or graduate level degrees is minuscule compared to the amount of money they have. We're talking billions and billions of dollars, and this is big business. The reason there needs to be regulation is because it has long been a slush fund for the federal government and state governments. The quick version is this. The federal government puts a lot of their research dollars into colleges and universities. So it is very advantageous to state and local politicians to get colleges and universities in their state. Why? Because you get all that funding, you get a college, you get tax base, you get jobs, you get reelected. Pete, you know how this works as well as anybody. And so what's happening is the federal student loan program, the private student loan programs, Congress, governors, state politicians are all colluding. Yes, colluding. To get rich on the backs of the American people, to get reelected on the backs of the American people. And so what's happening is we've got trillions of dollars of student loan debt, and they're not going to stop this program unless we, the people, stand up and say enough is enough. And we've got to start with the outrageous tuition pricing. It's ridiculous. Oh, and by the way, the irony of it all, Pete, is that we're seeing the value of the college degree is plummeting. College enrollment down. community college enrollment down. 41% of Gen Z says they don't think a college degree is worth it, and I think they're right.
Yeah, Ken Coleman, Ramsey personality, always great to have him on KCMO. They're wising up to it at the Gen Z level, whether it's because of trade schools or just alternative education options that they have at their disposal now. So my thought would be, as someone who wants to be a free market guy, colleges are going to have to respond by stopping the price gouging. But it sounds like you're convinced that's not going to happen for as long as the government's playing a role in their operations.
That's exactly right. Why would they stop? Now, there is a factor here, and it's a perfect storm. At some point, the American people say, all right, if you're not going to make it more relevant, I'm not sure I'm going to do it. But we've got decades and decades of cultural messaging that says that a college degree is the best way to become successful. And that's going to take some time to, filter out. Certainly Gen Z is going to change the game. But to your point, you've got it. That's what's going on. These colleges and universities are being propped up by a federal student loan program, and it's a racket.
Wow. And if Congress could do anything and do it well and do it effectively, do you think there'd be any bipartisan support for something like this? Or is it just that they all stand far too much to gain, where I think the left gets something out of it, where they want to push kids into college, into debt, so they can look like heroes on the back end by pretending to bail them out? And then to your point, a lot of the smaller college towns in many red states, those economies are run around the universities, so they've got a lot to benefit as well.
Yeah, I think you've got a lot of powerful interest. I mentioned state and local politicians. They are just as complicit as our federal politicians because, again, they benefit from those jobs. It's a real economic engine. If you've ever been to a college town, it certainly spits off a lot of jobs. But I don't think that your rank and file total party line people are going to do anything about it, because I don't think leadership's going to do anything about it. I mean, let's be honest. Mitch McConnell can't even finish a press conference. The last thing on his mind is real reform. Mm-hmm. Joe Biden is getting interrupted by a lowly press official on his team at an international press conference. The last thing he's thinking about is real reform. These guys are so old, all they think about is when they're getting their next bowl of tapioca pudding.
That is so true. Ken Coleman on KCMO Talk Radio. So, Ken, the event taking place tonight, free live stream, RamseySolutions.com, is that the place to go for it?
Absolutely. Easy way, just RamseySolutions.com, and it'll be very apparent right there on the homepage. It's absolutely free, so sign up, and if it doesn't hit you, but it hits somebody let them know about it. Great information tonight.
It is going to be a must-watch. Ken Coleman does absolutely outstanding work. Find him on social media, at Ken Coleman. Ken, it's always great to have you on, my friend. Have a great week.
All right, thank you, Pete.
You as well. Ken Coleman on KCMO Talk Radio.